because God puts those opportunities in front of us all of the time. It's just, do we miss it? Because we're so focused on kind of consume our own little world. I know, there's been many times, and after the fact, I'm like, oh man, I missed that opportunity, to be a blessing in someone's life.
So the holidays are a great opportunity if we take advantage of it. So every year's a little bit different, but I just want to encourage us all this holiday season to look for opportunities to be a blessing. And it doesn't always mean money. It doesn't always mean gifts. Sometimes it can be a smile. You see somebody that's kind of down and you just tap them on the shoulder and you say an encouraging word, or maybe even pray for them, or invite them to a Christmas service, or whatever it is. Don't get so caught up. Hey guys, welcome to the Troy Gramling podcast. I am so glad that you're here, especially during this holiday season. There's just, it's an exciting time. There's lots going on, especially if, you're in, I guess for everybody. Really.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have a special guest with me today. It is my beloved wife of 35 years.
35 years.
Wow.
Hard to believe.
That means I have
time.
been with you longer than I have been without you.
Yes, and same for me.
More for you.
Yeah,
because I'm older
actually,
than you.
Yeah, you are older than me.
Yes, you were 20.
Yeah, I was 20. You were 22.
Yeah. Wow. Time goes very, very quick. Anyways, we could talk about that, but we're not going to on today's episode. I do want to mention what a great gift during the holiday season.
That would be an amazing gift.
Because
an awesome book.
It's I love the message of the book, and of course you can pick it up on Amazon at a good price, and I think it can impact your life or to the person that you give it to. It is kind of our mission, our purpose, the thing that we're all about is people reaching their God potential in the sense of becoming everything God's created them to be, not just so that you can succeed, but so that you can impact the world for good, so that you can make a difference, live a fulfilling life. And I thought it'd be cool during this holiday season to invite my beloved Steph to come and for us to talk a little bit about how we do the holidays.
Yeah.
And I thought we would start with, the holidays have all the good stuff, all the Hallmark movies. We'll get into all that. But I thought one of the things that marks the holidays, of course, is money. Holidays are expensive. You got decorations, you've got gifts, you've got, and then one of the things we do at Potential Year in Giving, we call it Greatest Gift, and we challenge folks to give their greatest gift to Christ. And if you're going to challenge people to do something, you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And
to model it.
So I thought we'd talk a little bit about money and the holidays. Mm-hmm. And I thought, we'd start with the fact that in our family, Steph leads out in that area. I don't know if that's, normal or not, but when we first got married, I did it. Yeah. And that didn't work out too well.
For a short time. And then, that's not, you have a lot of strengths, a lot of gifts, but that's not necessarily one of them. You are a spender.
I'm a spender. So if I look at the checkbook, and again, I'm baiting myself when I say checkbook because I know nobody looks at the checkbook anymore. They look at their phone.
Yeah.
But and if there was money in there, we might as well spend it.
Yeah.
Even though there were bills that were due before the next check came in.
So needless to say, I kind of stepped in, and I don't know that it was necessarily like a huge strength of mine, but I've learned
I think it was because
of
your
years.
giftedness stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
I would have done it had I not seen this gift in you.
Oh, well, that's how kind of you.
And I thought, you know what? I can arrogantly still try to do this, or I can let someone who does it better than me.
Yeah, and you're involved in it and all, but as far as like the day-to-day, paying the bills and all of that.
Right, but which nowadays is just schedule it on the computer and then work hard to make sure it's in there so when it's supposed to come out, there's something in there to take out. But so let's talk. The first thing we have to think about when it comes to the holiday season every year is greatest gift, which is above and beyond the way we do it at Potential Church anyways. We challenge us to give above and beyond their regular tithes and offering. Yeah. And I'll just share with you guys, I don't know if we've ever actually talked about it, but, we started out just doing the tithe. I don't know how much or if you're a Christ follower or any of that, but It means 10%. I believe the Bible says that we're to return to God,
Yeah.
right off the top, 10% of everything he gives us, because he gives us everything we have. So we start with 10%, and then it's like, you want to grow in your generosity. And so you want to position yourself to give 12%, right? And then 15% and so forth. And then any extra, which is, if I speak or Steph invest, or even we get what do you call it? Refund?
Tax return.
Yeah, even though we've already really tithed on
Right,
that before
right.
it ever went, but it's still, money that in some ways is extra. So we always want to give, again, we started with like 10% of that, and then 15, I think we're up to
25%.
25% of anything we get extra, we always, return back to God. And it's exciting, right? It's exciting to be able to do that. Now, I know sometimes people are like, well, that'd be great, but I'm struggling to make my bills. So it's not just like if you live a generous life, God per se meets all of your needs.
Right.
It's like you got to be obedient too,
Yeah.
right? You got to not spend. I
Yeah.
mean, we tithed when I was doing the finances early on,
Yeah.
but we still didn't have any money,
Right.
Because I was spending, and so that didn't, you can't buy things you can't afford and then just give and expect God to.
Right.
I mean, God does
Right.
miraculous things, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
it's important that you use financial wisdom, when it comes to spending and budgeting and all those kind of things. And then, as you're doing that, you make sure to continue to be generous. And we always do that off the front, even sometimes, especially in those early days when we're trying to get everything straight, we're like, well, the 30th is coming. We're not know exactly how we're going to make that.
Yeah.
But there's one thing we're not going to be late on is honoring God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we've always made that a priority, and then work through, on
Right,
the
the
30th.
other.
And God's always been faithful. And you know what
has.
that meant? Sometimes that doesn't mean that necessarily he provided that mortgage on the 30th, but what it did mean is he worked in the heart of the landowner or the landlord, so that when we called him, then he would be graceful and
Right.
and allow us to move forward so that we could actually get ahead. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times what we do, especially in the area of finances, is just, especially if you're like me and that's not your greatest strength, it's easy just to not worry about it, right? And then 30 days become 60 days, become 90 days. And, the landlord or whoever it is you're dealing with, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And as a result, you get into really, they don't tend to help you out once you're,
Right.
they charge
right.
you more, and the hole gets bigger and deeper and becomes just overwhelming and
Right.
discouraging. And especially during the holidays, because then you don't even have the money to buy gifts or to decorate and those kind of things. So anyways, that's the first thing we decide, what we're going to give the greatest gift. And then we have to figure out, and the family has grown quite a bit.
The family has grown a lot, which means, a lot more gifts.
Yes. It means a spread out.
That's right. Exactly.
Same amount of money, but now
but
it's got
spread out over, instead of just originally the 5 of us. Now
Yes.
we're up to 12, I think, or I don't know. I think
Well,
we're at 12.
they all have spouses,
Yeah.
so that's 8.
Yeah.
Then we have 2, that's 10, and then we're going to get 2
2
more,
more, so it'll be 12.
and
yeah.
be 12. And
Yeah.
so this year, and that's not counting your parents,
Right.
not counting my
Your-
parents,
yep.
and and somewhere along the line, you have to, I would say, predetermine, one, who you're going to get gifts for,
Right.
and then number 2, how much you're going to spend.
Right.
'Cause
Some
if you
type
do-
of budget.
Yeah, because if you don't, you're going to spend too much.
Yes.
Because you're going to go to the mall and you're going to get into the spirit, and you're
Yeah.
going to, somebody's going to say, oh, you got a daughter? They would love this,
Yeah.
And of course, if you get this, why would you get a coffee cup if you're not going to get our specialty coffee?
Yeah.
It's on sale today, because they
Yeah.
got all kinds of sales. And I know some folks, you guys are not given, you never surrender to that at all. I'm not that person, right? I hate buying cars. I hate going places, because it's not too bad in the mall. When we went to like Las Vegas,
Yeah.
everywhere you go, they're trying to
it was
stop,
bad there.
and sell you something you
Right.
something for your shoes, or sell you, and once you stop, it's just,
You're just too nice. It's easy for me to just kind of, no, thank you, and walk on.
Here's what to be honest, here's what I think. Okay. Because I like to be, when it comes to the tip, like to be,
Yeah,
and I
be
know everybody
generous.
likes to be generous, right? I mean, I'm not saying that, but what I always goes through my mind. Two things go through my mind. One is, our early days, and I remember, working, and when you'd get a bonus, or
Yeah.
if you were working in kind of service and you'd get a tip. I mean, it changed your day.
Right,
Like
right.
I worked at Sears and it was commission,
Yeah.
right? And so you got a certain amount, but it wasn't very much hourly. But if somebody come in and bought a bunch of tools, I mean, it changed everything. And and so that's what's always in my mind. It's like, I don't know if we have the money to purchase this, but if I do, that person's day is going to be different.
Oh, yeah.
And then I always think too, like at the church, right? We're always challenging people to be generous and to help out. And it's like, I know how it makes me feel when when folks act generously.
Yeah.
And I always think about that when somebody's collecting money or whatever. I'm thinking I'm now in that seat to be able to encourage.
Yeah.
So anyways, I
And
say
you've
all
always, You've always been a generous person. I remember when we first met, and I mean, that's always, and I think, your dad was that way. I think some people have the gift of generosity. I mean, you're a very generous person. You always have been, and you're always looking for those opportunities to, to bless someone. And, that's one of the things that I love about you.
that. Oh, that's sweet.
One of the many things I love about you.
That's sweet. So, and it's, that's, you're not generous, but you're more practical,
I am. Yeah.
and I'm not as.
I think we kind of balance each other
Yes,
out really good.
yes,
So,
yes.
yeah.
And frustrate one another, I'm
We
sure,
do,
from time
we
to
do.
time. But anyways, that's important, right? Is to think. And I remember when I was growing up, my mom and dad would do this with us. They would say, we had $100, and this is again dating myself, but we didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
We had the Sears Christmas catalog that would come out.
Oh, yeah.
It was filled with toys.
Yeah.
And we would go through and we kind of mark a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And
Wish
then-
list.
Yeah. And we knew we had about, $100 or so. And then mom and dad would take care of that. And then we didn't know exactly what we would get. And then occasionally my dad would always like surprise us with something, like one year we got 4-wheeler or 3-wheelers back in the day, and those kind of things. So it was, but we weren't a wealthy family, so it was limited, but it was always awesome. But the budget's important,
The budget is important. Yeah.
because last thing you want is to be stressed out all holiday season because,
Well, and all the next year, trying to pay off stuff,
and then you get resentful.
right.
Because here's the thing, you want people to appreciate, but you're not giving a gift to somebody so that they'll appreciate it, because then it becomes more about you, right? It's like, yes, I want people to appreciate, the gifts you get them. You want them to realize that but if you're not careful, you can actually make gift giving more about you than the person you're giving the gift to.
Yeah, that's true.
And because everybody responds differently.
Yeah.
Like amongst our kids, like our middle son Carson is always like very expressive.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is awesome.
He's always been so fun to give gifts to, because he, and I don't know if he really thought every gift was that awesome.
I think he's just playing us.
But yeah, but it was fun because
Yeah.
he's very expressive and just like,
But that doesn't mean he appreciated it any more
Right.
than, Tyler or Bailey
Yeah.
or anyone else. So everybody is different, and you want to make sure that you want them to enjoy the gift. You want them to be thankful for the gift, but it's not really a gift if you put demands on them that
Yeah.
they have to respond a certain way, or they have to say thank you a certain way, or they have to, because then it's not a gift.
Yeah.
If a real gift doesn't have that expectation.
Yeah, exactly.
To it. So that's why the budget, and I know we're spending a lot of time on it but in reality, it's what creates the most stress, I think. Because then you have problems in the marriage,
Right.
Especially if you don't communicate.
Yeah.
Like we've always talked about that, Steph will kind of, she's looking at what the budget needs to be this year, and we'll have a conversation. And then we talk about what are we going to give the greatest gift. And there have been years where things, have been really, really tight. And that means greatest gift impacts what we're able to do at Christmas with the kids,
Yeah.
or
And we've always been honest with the kids. I remember years when the kids were young, and finances were extremely tight, but we knew that we were going to give above and beyond, whether it was greatest gift or, in Arkansas, but we always, knew we were going to give above and beyond. And, and I remember us having to sit down and talk to the kids, and talk to them about, as a family, this is a commitment that we're making, for greatest gift. But that's going to impact the amount of money we have to spend, and just involving the kids in that. But what a blessing, it is. And so, and I think there's no doubt that's impacted our kids' lives. I'm so, as I look at our kids, and they're all three very generous, and they're tithing and giving above and beyond. And, I'm proud of that. But so I'm thankful that we kind of laid the foundation there and had those conversations. It wasn't just you and I deciding, oh, well, we're not going to be able to spend as much on the kids this year because, things are tight, and we've made this commitment. We want to give above and beyond to greatest gift. But I'm glad that we involved the kids in that. And, they were a part of that with us.
So they didn't get resentful.
Right,
and
right.
think that we love the church more than them or whatever. So it wasn't our decision. It was our decision as a family. And included them in that. And they felt a part of it. So they could, again, as a child, they're not going to enjoy it maybe in the same way, but they could still enjoy being a part of giving that and helping to see the impact that giving had along the way. And that it wasn't because we were per se pastors, well, as pastors, we have to do this and lead out. And no, as Christ followers, what do you guys think? I mean, as Christians, how do we, and invite them into that conversation and really, for those of you that might be in ministry, or even if you own a business, I think sometimes kids can grow up resentful of ministry or resentful of, you hear lots of kids, well, my dad was like your family, I'm not saying you are resentful, but, but they owned a quick shop.
Yeah, a Dairy Queen.
A Dairy Queen. Yeah. And, you hear a lot of times people grow up in that environment and they're resentful of the Dairy Queen or resentful of the quick shop or whatever it is because they felt like they were second to that. And I think it's important to, not blame that.
Right.
Or to connect to why. If I had a quick shop and, it was a tough year, people weren't coming in to buy whatever they buy, at a quick shop. And so that meant we were going to be able to spend less at Christmas. It's like, we're going to spend less because this has happened, but so that we can not get behind. So that in the future, we're believing God for, a summer vacation or whatever it might be, or so that we can buy you basketball shoes or whatever it is, but helping them to see the connection between the sacrifice that they're making and that they feel part of it.
Yeah, the difference that it's making in other people's lives.
But anyways, I think those conversations are so important and so often we don't have. Now, I will tell you this, it makes my gift giving much more difficult than Stephanie's because since she sees the finances, she sees what I spend, right? So she has a better idea of what she's going to get. So I try to get sneaky. One year I did. I forget how I got some money. I can't remember, but somehow I got a couple $1,000s or something. I don't know if I sold something. I can't remember. It was years ago.
Yeah.
But I secretly flew your parents down.
You did. That was, and I think we had only been in South Florida. We hadn't been in South Florida that long.
Yeah, and we didn't have any money.
No, we didn't. And
so I don't know how I got it. I didn't steal it.
Yeah, and usually I'm pretty good about it's hard for you to keep secrets from me. But you really did a good job.
Or so you think.
Or so I think. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you have other secrets. You want to go into those. But you did a great job that year because I had no idea.
And they came and knocked on the door.
Yeah.
And it was them.
It was my parents. Yeah.
And it was like you said, you hadn't seen them. We just moved here. It was difficult and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
No, that was awesome.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was income tax. Can't remember how I.
Yeah, I don't really know if you ever told me how you.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly
how you did it, but
maybe I spoke somewhere.
Yeah.
And got paid or something like that.
And that meant as much to me as the fact that just that you would use those resources on that, knowing that would be important to me, and be such a great gift.
Yeah. Because and again, as your gift giving goes, a lot of times it's thinking through, I feel like I feel like when I was younger, I had more energy, and so I was better at it. Because I remember one time I made you, all the pictures
Yeah.
from,
Like a photo album
yeah.
type thing, yeah, which was very, and you wrote on, yeah, it was very creative. You're very creative in that way, and but yeah, you're a great gift giver. Great gift
well,
giver.
thank you.
Yeah, you're generous and a great gift giver.
Awesome. And but anyway, so that, and then one of the things we do in kind of conjunction with that we've done, I don't know, for the last 10, 15 years, we haven't always done, but is we try, it's gotten like, this is one of those traditions that may have to change because just the size of the family. But when the kids were little, and then even up to last year, we would like have a shopping day.
Yeah,
And we'd do some shopping,
yeah.
but it was more about, we would get to the mall, see Santa, take a picture.
Family
Yeah.
picture with Santa. Yeah.
And then, kind of separate. And when the kids were little, I would take them and they would shop for Steph. And then she would take them and they would shop for me.
Yeah.
And then today we kind of split up and shop for the ladies and shop for the girls.
Yeah.
And then usually go to dinner. And then if there's a Christmas movie, we'll go watch a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, now with grandkids and babies and all that, it kind of gets a little more confusing.
It looks a little bit different, but yes, up to this point, we've been able to keep that tradition. And, even though it's changed a little bit over the years, I know with even last year, Lion and Luna, young and, nap times and all of that. So we just kind of, we figure it out. But it's a tradition that we enjoy. I think, I know for us in ministry, which I think, anybody, Christmas is a busy season. So I know for us, we take that day and it's really like just kind of getting away, disconnecting and, enjoying the Christmas season, in that one day, spending time together, having fun, making memories. So that's a tradition that, hopefully we can keep even as the family grows.
Yeah, we've been able to do that. And then I would think the only other kind of tradition that we have is normally we do Christmas on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
And, the everybody's there. We all live in the same area, which makes that doable, of course. And but other than that, we've always been real, and which I think is important as your family expands and grows, is, not demanding or as far as trying to, whether they're at the other spouse's parents on Thanksgiving or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, would love to have them as much as possible, but at the same time, we've never been real demanding on that.
Yeah,
because we all serve together. And so,
well, just not putting that pressure,
because a lot of families feel that, we got to go here and we got to go there and we got to do that.
Yeah.
Probably the moms, maybe more
Probably
than the dads.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But anyway, so we, try to work through that. When we were young and married, we would, it worked out good for us because your family was more Christmas Eve, my family was Christmas morning, but then we started doing Christmas Eve services.
Yes.
And that
kind of changed everything.
Yeah, that kind of made it, we had to work through that.
Yeah.
And a lot of families do. I mean, especially in ministry, because in ministry you serve at all the times families normally get together.
Right.
Mother's Day is a big day.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving,
Easter,
Christmas, all those kind of things. And so as long as you communicate and you don't get behind.
Yeah.
Ahead of
it.
If you get behind, then you're always going to be frustrated and you're going to look
Right.
back and think, man, that was a bad holiday,
Yeah.
right? Because all I felt was stress. So I it's so easy to get busy. There's so much to go and to do. And if you don't get ahead of it, I think you can have a lot of regret during the
Right.
holidays, and that can create a lot of stress. And if
Yeah.
you've got kids, that's going to, it's going
Spread
to
to
feed
them.
the kids, and then nobody has a good time.
Yeah. No, I think that's one thing, we've tried, I don't know that we've always gotten it right, but we've tried to be intentional about is really thinking ahead, not letting a holiday creep up on us and we're like, oh, shoot, what are we going to, I know even like with my family, we celebrated Christmas Eve, and like you said, that worked out great until, we surrendered to ministry and we started pastoring and we started doing Christmas Eve services. And, but just, I remember you and I having the conversation and thinking ahead, like, okay, how are we going to handle this? The communication, I think, is everything, and being on the same page with it, with how we were going to handle that. And, we knew that was our calling. And, so we had to talk to my family about, And they went along with this. They were flexible, and we figured out a different plan. So I think it's all about the communication, not just thinking, oh, well, I don't want to deal with this, so I'm not going to bring it up, and it'll work itself out, because usually it doesn't.
Right.
So it's being intentional about the communication part, I think, is really everything.
And again, getting ahead of it, not waiting till December to tell your in-laws that you're not going to be there this Christmas Eve, and giving them time to
process that
and think through it and that kind of thing. Because, one of the things that can happen is people love to try to think of ministry or work and then the family, and that they're at war with one another.
Right.
And I'm just a strong believer that whether you're in ministry or whether it's your profession or your job, that you can, do both and be successful at both.
Right.
But again, you have to communicate with the people that are impacted and help them understand, why you have to work on Christmas Eve, or why we do services on Christmas Day now.
Yeah.
And so some of you guys, I'm sure, have to work on Christmas, and, one of the things, we went to Gatlinburg for Thanksgiving with Steph's family. And I was at this little store, and I was talking to this lady on Thanksgiving Day, and I said, I'm sure your kids and your husband are home cooking Thanksgiving meal. And she shook her head no, And then she said, I got to work till 7, something. She said it'd be a can of soup. I had some extra cash in my pocket. And so I was trying to think, how do I give her something to encourage her, but not offend?
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Because I didn't want to do that. But I felt like God had, blessed me with what was in my pocket. And so I thought, well, I'll buy it something else, some cheap piece of candy or something. And then I, gave her the money, and I said something to the effect of, I want you to be able to get something better than a can of soup for Thanksgiving this year, for yourself, and she really, appreciated that.
Yeah.
And, the holidays lend themselves to extremes,
Right.
where you can be extremely discouraged and sad because you got to work, or because, and instead of looking for opportunities, to, whether it's to include the family or to be generous or to, celebrate with gratitude the small things that God does along the way. I remember the first $100 bill I ever saw, Jackie May put in my hand, and I didn't want to receive it. I was a pastor, and I'm like, oh, what does this mean? And all, So I kept trying to give it back to him, and he'd put it, and then I'd stick it in his pocket, and he'd give it back to me. And finally, he said to me, and he just taught me something. He said, that if you don't receive it, then you're robbing me of the blessing of wanting to give it.
Yeah.
And $100 just was, still is a lot of money, and it's like, but it, there is. Sometimes it's harder to receive than it is to give.
Yeah.
And in whatever it is, because you have to kind of humble yourself to receive.
Yeah.
And but I think it's important that we're willing to do that.
Yeah.
Not only so that we can experience whatever it is somebody's giving, but that we don't rob the person that has been nudged to be generous.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that they're wanting to do during the holiday season.
Yeah, and I love that. Always looking for opportunities to, it's so easy, I think, especially in those busy seasons, to get focused on ourselves. You could have very easily been focused on you and what you needed to do that day, or what you needed to, purchase. And, I think it's just a reminder to all of us, just to look for, because God puts those opportunities in front of us all of the time. It's just, do we miss it? Because we're so focused on kind of consume our own little world. I know, there's been many times, and after the fact, I'm like, oh man, I missed that opportunity, to be a blessing in someone's life. So that's good.
So the holidays are a great opportunity if we take advantage of it.
Yeah.
It can be stressful, and believe me, we fight that just like everybody does. It can be overwhelming. It can be discouraging because every year's different. Some years you're sick. I remember lots of Christmases when I was at home. My middle brother, Mark, would be in the hospital.
Yeah.
So every year's a little bit different, but I just want to encourage us all this holiday season to look for opportunities, opportunities to be a blessing. And it doesn't always mean money. It doesn't always mean gifts. Sometimes it can be a smile. You see somebody that's kind of down, and you just tap them on the shoulder and you say an encouraging word, or maybe even pray for them, or invite them to a Christmas service, or whatever it is. Don't get so caught up in, because then you look back on the holiday and you're like, I watched it on Lifetime or
Hallmark,
but I never felt it.
Right.
And it's important to experience it. And here's the good news. All of us can. It's the birth of Christ that we're celebrating. And the famous verse, John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world, right? So his birth is for everybody, everywhere. And if you've never experienced him, I just invite you this holiday season to submit yourself. Wherever you may be listening or watching from today, you can experience the love of Christ. And the hardest thing, or the obstacle between you and that experience, is often just pride, the unwillingness to humble ourselves. The scripture says, whosoever calls, right? So you have to admit, I've screwed up, man. I've been doing this my own way. And God, I'm committing to do it your way. Salvage me, rescue me, save me. And the Bible says that he will, wherever you may find yourself or whenever you may be listening to this today. Anyways, I hope you have an incredible holiday season. Of course, we'll be back next week. Don't forget, it's a great gift.
That is a great gift. Yeah.
It was a great joy to write it. It's been exciting to hear the different stories from the people who have read it. And you can check out our live stream on Sunday nights. You can follow us on all the handles, Troy Gramling, and subscribe. That would be a huge help to us. We're going for 100,000. We need your help to get there. And if you'd like to hear some of our teachings, just go to Potential Church. All right, you can go to .com, you can go to the app, multiple different ways to hear the different teachings. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Have an incredible day and a very Merry Christmas. And we'll see you next time. God bless.